So,
Okay.
okay, I think we're live. Hey, it is
Hi.
Monday, the 20th. Is that right? And we have a new moon today. Yeah, we have a
It's a
new
new
moon.
moon tomorrow
Tomorrow it comes in tonight in the morning,
in the morning.
on the
Yeah.
equinox. The equinox comes in too. So, this is the first new moon of the zodiac new year. So it's a
Yeah.
powerful reset time to set your intentions and what you want for this year. What you want to do, what you want to bring in, like give yourself some time to anchor that in for yourself, especially with this new moon. It's a 0 degrees, which is like, you know, in Aries. So Aries is
Yeah.
that moving forth action, and it's 0 degrees there. So it's like brand new starts. It's like we can just be in the
Yes.
energy and start
And
that.
yeah, and it's so rare that you get like an exact degree like that at the time of the full moon or new moon.
Right.
So,
And then gate 25 is activated in the human design gene keys. What's the gate of innocence? Is that the gate of innocence?
it is the gate, well, the city's universal love.
Yeah. Universal
Yeah.
love, compassion, universal love.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's something for me that I've been kind of delving into since last week because it not always do they work together as well as these are. I think maybe you can always bridge them, but in my mind, sometimes it takes a little stretching to do so. But these from last week, the major gate was 36, and the one that's this week is the 25. It really is speaking to me about am I recognizing the work that I do in the world as divine?
Yeah. I
So,
have 25 and you have 36, right? Do you have 36 already in yours?
in my chart, you mean?
Yeah. In your personal chart. Do you have that
I
one?
don't think so. No. Nope.
I have 25.
Hello,
I have 25,
Facebook user.
so it's like already I have that one innately in my stuff. If you already have the gates in your human design, then it doesn't affect you as much as it when you don't have the gate and the gate's activated, then you're going to feel the
When
shift
it
of energy.
activates you in your chart. Yeah, so this is a good time to look into that. Um, if you want us to know your name, then just put your information on StreamYard so that we can see when you chat to us from Facebook. So I just put the link up for that. So that is always a good idea
Why is it not
if you want to have
letting me in
a
my
name
Facebook group?
conversation with us.
One of these days, it's not letting me in the Facebook group book, the Facebook group to see who's there. And then when I went in the Facebook group to to put the post up and stuff, I keep getting hit by spammers in my face in this public Facebook group. Like they're
Mm,
sending those it shows Justin Bieber and it says rest in peace. So, people will click it or something. It's those kinds of
mm,
things.
yeah.
I removed 10 of those today. 10. And I had just cleaned them out over the weekend. And Facebook, I mean, I'm the moderator of this group. They're not sending me notices that these are being put in there. Like if they would send me the notice as soon as they do it. So I'm gonna have to
Oh,
do something with this mess. I think most people know
so
not to do those, not to
I
put
know. Yeah, well, and yeah, I don't really let people post my
Michelle.
group because I'm not there all the time. So, so I just don't let people post without confirmations.
Yeah,
Hi,
I'm gonna have to
Michelle. Thanks
change
for
that.
joining us today.
Michelle is a human design and a Gene Keys. She did her Gene Keys this year or last year or whenever.
Hey,
In the last
Carrie.
6 months or so, she's done all of that. So she talks their language, girl.
Yay, we got a multi-languageite. I think
Yeah.
more and more people are recognizing that they are really beautiful. They're both beautiful systems, and when you're doing kind of deeper spiritual work, I think that you really do want those more evolutionary explanations that Gene Keys provides. Yes.
Hi, Carrie.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so what else? We have like some big major players this week because we have Pluto visiting Aquarius on the 23rd. And he's been in Capricorn for the last 16 years. So he's going to go over and party with Aquarius for till June. And then he's going to backtrack and go back to Capricorn. Go, back. I need to come back home. It's like we got too expanded.
Well,
And then he goes
like
back,
I
and then
love explaining that as like they're trying to finish up those energies. So
they
like
are. They're trying to
they're
finish
giving
up
the
stuff.
laggers, they're giving
Right.
us slow
That's
pokes,
exactly
like
what's
time to
happening.
catch up.
Like both of those are ancient ruler. Well, no, never mind what I was going to say there. Forget that. Clear that. But yeah, he went over and then he's like, now what do I need to go back and get? Did I leave anything there? What else needs to be cleaned up? And then he's going back to Aquarius and they're going to bounce back. They're going to do this dance back and forth until she finally lets him stay. And then
You got to get your act together.
yeah,
Stay here.
November 2024, after they do this bounce 3 months on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 3 months off, he moves in for 20 years. So we will have Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius till 2044, which several people that I know that'll probably be our last trip through through one of the signs. I'm 62,
Right.
so I'll be 82 then. So I don't know if I'll get to see it go into the next thing or not. So we've got that going on. So that is a big shift. There's all kinds of people, there's debates with astrologers. Is that the age of Aquarius era? Are we actually moving into it? You know what? I actually see it as it's about the children that are going to be born during the time period and what they're going to be, what's going to be in their blueprints, and then what those kids are going to be doing in 20 years from now. It's like, what are they going to bring in? Because look at these children coming in. I mean, what AI is doing, they're like, it's like all the inventions
Can
that
you
have
imagine
been.
being a child knowing like just AI being just part of your world?
Yeah, like since
Yeah.
2008, like iPhones came out during all of this time period while he was in, Capricorn. And it's like, look how much the world changed just from that invention.
Yeah, just from having a
Yeah,
computer in your hand,
right. So you
right?
know how fast this is going to move, and it's like all the astrologers knew we were going to have these big shifts, but what was it that was going to happen? And it was like wham, Bitcoin, AIs. It's like
Well, and
all of it, and it's going to be
yeah,
about.
crypto.
It's actually about humanity being sovereign. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, we'll use these to our advantage so we can be sovereign and have more time of freedom to create whatever we want to. So if you use it in that way, and things that are not in integrity aren't going to last, they're going to fall apart. So if you're watching something
absolutely.
collapse, if it's something in your own world, like your program, something like
And
that,
and
it's
the
the
big
universe is
guns
something. Move
know
on,
this
move
stuff.
on.
They have their own astrologers, y'all. They have their own astrologers. And things are coming down the pipe, things that we wouldn't have imagined big business would be interested in because they know what's coming. And in order for you to be in what's growing and not dying, you have to be aligned to what's coming, right?
Exactly.
Um, and so, yeah, so
Or you're gonna feel
that
it in your
is
body if you're
huge.
not. Your
Well,
body
and that's
start
kind of what
going,
I was going to
oh, why do
speak
I
to. I
hurt?
feel like the children come in with these things innate in their beings, but I do believe the adult's responsibility to incorporate and to integrate and to change, because that's where we get those big clashes between youth and adults. And well, you just did it completely wrong, so I have to ignore you completely and like do it myself, right? Those things come from not being open to what is shifting,
That's
right?
why we need but that's why we need Pluto in Aquarius, because that's exactly what the theme is going to be for the collective consciousness is unity. And those children are going to be bringing in a unity mindset. And they're also not going to be, Aquarius can be detached. It can be emotionally detached, which is a good thing. They will not carry the emotional enmeshment. Shame, blame ain't going to work on those kids. It already doesn't work on my granddaughter is 5, so she was born like right during that big total, the energy wave of that total eclipse. But even with her, like that game doesn't work. The game of because I said so does not work. It's like,
Like,
no, they want answers. And
yeah.
if you don't give it to them, they'll create their own answer. They'll have their own explanation to it. Just this year where she's been in kindergarten, like last week, we were on my computer and one of them is, you one of them doesn't have the touch stuff. Okay. One of my computers doesn't. And so I said, that one doesn't have the touch. And she said, oh, Gaga, I know how to use the keyboard and the mouse. They've taught this to me at school. She's 5 and she did. She got on my computer and we were watching, we watch a YouTube channel that is Art Kids Hub, and this guy it's a father and he has like 3 kids, and so he's an art teacher and he's always teaching them how to draw, and it's got all the stuff, and she loves watching him. She loves watching that channel. So we were doing that and she was like, oh, I want to watch this one now, and she knew exactly what to do, and I was like, okay, that's how. And I've introduced her to the AI art, and we're making dragons. I tell her to give me the description and I'm typing it in, and she'll go with her wild imagination, and I put in the prompts, and then it's like we create it, and she'll go, Kaka, you're such a good artist. You're just amazing. I
Oh,
am an artist, but it's like between my
I know,
creative
but
mind with the AI, it's
it's kind
amazing.
of like the difference between making your own charts as an astrologer and like what I do, which is just basically
I know
look
it
up
is.
everything everybody else does. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
like
yeah, so all of that's not gonna
all of that.
it's here
Well,
to
and that's a
stay.
good argument for making a true alphabetical keyboard, right? Like so that if kids are using at that age, it would just be a
I
lot more
know. I've
cohesive for
never
them to see
understood
the alphabet in order.
I don't know the history of the keyboard and why they created it in the way that they did, but
Supposedly it was like how often each letter is used.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
never made
then
any sense
the
to me.
proximity to your fingers, like, it was supposed to be something intelligent, but it really isn't because you'll learn the keyboard however it's set up. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Um, but the
Yeah,
problem is that,
that's one of those things
for
that needs to
babies,
change.
they have to learn the QWERTY and they have to learn the alphabet, which is just a waste of time. So I'm totally about time efficiency. Like my whole life is about efficiency.
The other thing
So
that we have this week too is Mars on the 25th is
yeah.
moving out of Gemini, and Mars has been hanging out in Gemini for 7 months, which is a really long because of the retrogrades. It's a long time because he's the fastest moving planet. So for him to have been in Gemini for so long, and did I say Mars? Mars is not the fastest moving planet. Mercury is. I'm sorry. I did like a brain change there. Mercury moved into Aries, and then we've got Mars moving into Cancer. And
Cancer,
so
yeah.
that's on the 25th. And he's out there alone by himself because everybody else is all piled up down here in Pisces and Aries. So he's up there, he's like moving on to Cancer. And he is actually debilitated in Cancer because that's a water sign. So it's like, you know, I'm,
Well, that's like the
I'm,
epitome
I
of water
have,
signs. It's the
yeah,
cardinal
right.
sign.
And that's my natal placement of Mars. I have it in Cancer. And so in my
Oh,
human
cool.
design, in my Mars, it's meditation. That's what I'm supposed to do. My desk work is meditation. My Mars is in the place of meditation. And it's like, it's like, yeah, that's what I do. When I won't make a
Yeah.
decision and people are going, oh, but only the ones that say yes or who moves on. And it's
Not
like, that's
right
not what I'm
now.
supposed to do.
Right now.
It's like I have to
Let's
step
see.
back, get the hell out of other people's energies, and it's like
Hey,
pull my
Terry.
energy back, and then meditate. And then I know the answer. It's like, yep, okay, I just got to get quiet and out of everybody
Yeah.
else's energy. So that I'm telling you all because this is what I live all the time. Okay. So you all are going to have this
We're
energy.
going to have this lovely experience of
Yeah, that I
kind
have
of
all of the time.
pausing and connecting before action.
Yeah. Where Mars has been in Gemini, that was air to fire. So there was, people acting fast with their communication. And so with it in the water, there's going to be that Mars doesn't, like when it blows up, it blows up. I mean, it's like it blows up, but it holds back for a long time, and it takes a while to hit the blow up part. It's like it's that kind of energy, and then when it blows up, it's done. So there's going to be some, and Mars is out of bounds, and so what out of bounds planet means, it's not in the natural orbit. It's 25 degrees, which I'm getting a little complicated now, but it's out of the 25 realm, so it's on its own journey too. It's like it's not in alignment with the sun. It's doing its own out of bounds thing. So there's the energy. We've got that going on too, and so it's
Well,
an
so that
unusual week.
means when
Let's say
it's
it's an unusual
out of
week.
bounds, what does that mean?
It means it's doing its own thing, like I said, it's up there in.
So it's like it's the southern, you're out of bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it went out of bounds, but it didn't stop playing.
Yeah.
Like if it was in a game and it went out of bounds, then they take your ball away from you.
Yeah.
But this is like knocking the soccer ball out of bounds and just keep playing.
It's like,
and it's going to make up its own rules when it plays. It's in water,
yeah.
and it's like, and the thing about Mars, poor Mars, the Romans turned Mars into the warrior god. When it was the Greek society, Mars was sustainability. It was over the wheat, the fields. It was like Mars was the ruler of the crops, the fields. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Romans decided to
See
take
what
over,
happens when you bastardized feminine energy? Because
right,
warrior
exactly.
energy was originally feminine. Yeah.
So when Romans started taking over people's lands, what did they do? They took the god of the lands and turned it into the warrior god, and that's what they do when they take over cultures. They assimilate whatever they have
Right.
and turn
As
it
if you
into
can
something.
own land.
Yeah, they distorted it and turned it into that. So last year, I declared Mars back as the god of sustainability for me, and not the warrior god. It was just like, what the fuck? I don't have to go along with this.
I love
like,
that.
Just because the Romans decided to do this, why would Mars be that for me? Yeah. And so my Mars, he comes in riding because he's in Cancer, so he's in the water. So he comes in riding on a surfboard. Okay. That's who my Mars is.
I want your Mars.
He's on top of the wave, riding the wave. He's just like chilling, riding the wave.
Riding that wave. And then I love it.
When he makes it to ground, he's like, oh yeah, let's put some pineapples here. How about some coconuts? It's like it brings in the abundance. So you can do that. And with this being this new moon and a reset point, align yourself to how you want to use these planets and these planetary energies, and assign them that for you, so it brings that to you. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of kind of knowing your chart, knowing your blueprint, so to speak, is that you get to know what that means for you, right? And that is really important, right? So I love this new way of seeing Mars that Kimberly is offering us, because sustainability works really well with my Mars, which is in Taurus, right? And so I've always thought, oh, well, my poor Mars has to walk slowly and try to be sustainable, but it is sustainable. It's already in its optimum
checking the
way
crops
of functioning,
and making sure Earth is being taken care of.
I have a powerful Mars because I got stability, sustainability going for me.
I just realized I forgot to put my
Michelle says she
earrings on.
loves that so much about what you're saying about Mars, Miss Kimberly.
Yeah, we don't need any distorted masculine energy. That's when it got sabotaged and they used it for war and shit. And it's like we don't
Right. And the
need
original
that.
warrior wasn't about like owning land, right? It's about
Or
protecting
taking
your
other people's
family
lands,
and
going and
protecting lives,
yeah,
right? So it's very much that's what happens when you start messing stuff up. You know?
yeah. So it's like
Absolutely.
makes him all like in a wad, and then then he needs to keep that position, so he's got to go attack other people. And it's like, no, that is the distorted masculine energy. That's not the divine masculine. Divine masculine works with inspiration and intuition and does action accordingly. So yeah. So you all get to have that right now. So I
Yeah.
I am like where's my magic wand? I am the holder of this energy and I bestow it on everyone.
So much. We all need it, I think, because there has been a disruption in how we are acting, right? That kind of review of Mars that we had Mars retrograde for quite a while coming through the winter. That time, I think, really set people askew, right? Because if you again weren't integrating the new energy, then you feel like what how you used to do things was just thwarted, right? It was like taken from you, so to speak. And so when we're moving into this new energy of Mars, you might feel like, well, I don't even know how I'm supposed to do things anymore, right? And
Right.
so it can feel really disruptive if we're not kind of just acknowledging what wants to change and shifting into the new, right? And so in that way, I think it's even kind of more more it's going to feel differently when Mars moves into Cancer because we're so used to action being about fast action, right? That if you're going to have impactful action, that it has to be quick. Um, and what Aries is about to teach us is how there's a movement that's in flow, right? In Cancer, it's really going to be about the flow of energy instead of just like each task, so to speak. And so, how are we setting those tasks up? How do they flow from one to the other? Is how I'm perceiving it.
Yeah.
Um,
We've got Mercury in Aries. It went in Aries this week too. And it's only going to be there for 16 days because Mercury moves
yeah,
faster at
Mercury
different
is
times
the
than
one of the
others.
faster.
And
Yeah,
so this times it's moving really fast through there because I think it may be out of bounds in its orbit too. So when they're out of bounds, like their orbit's not how many ever days that that they're usually assigned, they'll do different stuff during that time period. Um,
I'm
so
gonna start
really
defining out of
quick.
bounds as playing without rules, like you were
It
saying. That's
is, yeah.
like it's not going to play by its usual rules. So, however you usually think of Mars, however you usually think of Mercury, it's not playing like it
It's
usually
gonna be a
plays.
little indifferent to the rules.
It's
It's
going to be
just good,
like,
like, okay, you
what
do your
rules?
thing, I'll do my thing. You go on with that because I'm just gonna do my thing right now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of energy. And then the Mercury, so we've got this 16 days to um quick communication like that with the stuff. So pay attention to what you get and then, the action that you can take, moving into stuff. So we've got all that going on this week. Yeah, March is big. I did in my YouTube channel, I've got the Pluto Aquarius and what that means for your sign, wherever it is for whatever house it's in for you. I did that. I think I put it out yesterday. And then I did another one maybe Friday for the whole week for all the energy that's in your Aries house right now. And it's how it'll affect you personally. So I did the new moon, the equinox, all of those things that were piled up in Aries. I did them all in the one thing.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So I've got that too. So you can go listen to those, and then it will tell you specifically the energy overlay for you in your chart, wherever that is in your houses.
Wait a minute. What's the name of it?
I don't
What's the
know.
name? Do you know?
I think I named it March. I have to go to my.
March 19th through 25th.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting y'all the link. So yeah, so that's always fun when you get that kind of input for your positioning. So so yeah, so that's pretty powerful. I think also that you want to think of these things in context because we're having the spring equinox and new moon Aries. So they're right on top of each other. Today is the spring equinox, and new moon Aries is I don't know what the official time is, but I'm thinking of it as tomorrow. That we are knowing that this is like how we are doing these things is seeding what is next for us as well, right? So this is spring. It's a time of planting the seeds for what is wants to be grown and harvested, right? And so it's really good to honor the things that want to be planted, and that's to me that's why the gate 25 is in play, right? Because that gate 25 is saying, well, what is going to support the divine plan or purpose for what you have to do, right? And so you want to plant those seeds right alongside of those things that you think are going to actually bring in the harvest. You want to also plant the seeds of the things that are going to support you bringing in that harvest. A
Yeah,
lot of
and
times we
Venus
leave
is
that
in
part
Taurus
out.
right now too, supporting that. Like because she just moved into Taurus, I think Friday. It's all been piled up here together, you all. And so Venus I mean, that's her domicile, that's her home. So she loves all the luxuries that Taurus brings her. It's very sensual energy. So we also have the flavor of that right now with this. So that energy supporting the reset and what it is that you're bringing in, and connecting with that sensual, um what I want to say with that, with Venus and Taurus, it's like it's about value. And
Mm,
really, anchoring in your value and what that is, and feeling how much the universe values you, and then what you're planting during this time period blooms that out, um to the universe, to all the collective.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
love that
just
you brought
really
it into that home framework, especially with the Taurus energy. Like how are you building your home? Like how are you building what is safe and
what's
what
beautiful to you.
right, right.
I had a friend say this the other day to me, and I thought, oh, that is so true. I hadn't thought about this. He said, beautiful and beauty are the words that carry the highest vibration. He said they carry more, the higher vibration, than love. And I was just listening to him, and he said, because there is no opposite polarity of beauty or beautiful, because it's in the eye of the beholder. And I thought, oh, that's
Mm,
so beautiful. If you look at it in
mm,
that way, it's all in the eye of the beholder, and there's beauty in everything. So it was like, I have to
yeah.
agree. It
And
does
then what
carry a
you
higher
find
vibration.
beautiful, yeah. I love it. I love it because yeah, what you find beautiful may not be what somebody else finds beautiful, but that's not the point in your home, right? And that's not the point when you're also exercising what you're doing, what you're building in your business and in your communities, right? Um, because it's really about bringing that sense of beauty, like what lights you up, right? And so that inspires others. That's why art is so inspiring in my mind, because a lot of times what people perceive of what wants to be created and what's beautiful and what is beautiful and it's not being beautiful, all of those questions that art brings up, it's kind of like the one thing you have to accept is that they put it on a wall, especially in a museum, is that somebody found something that was, magnanimous, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but one of those words, um, about it. And so what you start to think is like, well, like what are they seeing? What in that perspective? Sometimes you run across something in a museum, which is like, really, why are we here? What is happening here? Right.
Yeah.
But
When
it
the
does make
banana's
you
tucked, it
stop
is duct
and
taped
think.
to a wall. Like, yeah, going around with that artist duct taped the banana to the wall, and it was sold for something crazy, like millions of
Yeah,
dollars or something.
like, it's like, how? How? But that's the miracle of sharing our version of beauty, right? Because there's going to be somebody that gets it, number one, that's going to be their version too. But number two, for those who don't get it, it's like it's awe-inspiring, right? It brings you into that bigger, greater vision of, wow, there's so many perspectives. There's so much that is beautiful that I can't even perceive yet, right? So
Mhm.
it brings us into such expansion. That's the beauty of art and creativity, you know?
Yeah, and
It really is divine.
the octaves of the frequencies that the colors and stuff come in. I thought for sure I was gonna. What did I do with that? Oh, it's over there. I thought I had it beside me. Um,
So
I
Kimberly
had
has
planned
all
on
her
painting
lovely
on
art back behind her.
I had planned on painting a new self portrait this weekend. Like we were having Mercury Cazimi was Friday, and that's when Mercury went into the heart of God, and so brought messages to us. And I thought I'm gonna paint today. I'm gonna like disconnect from stuff and do that. And it wasn't there. It's like it couldn't come through. And I have some faces. Can you see that? These vases, I painted these vases last year, and I decided I wanted to enhance this one. So I painted on the vase, and it's like
Mm.
it just gave me, woo, I can make noises with that. It can be a musical instrument. It doesn't have to be a vase. That's Mars out of bounds. But I brought in like the gold and the turquoise and stuff with it, and I was using all kinds of different stuff. The
Gorgeous.
turquoise is fingernail polish. It's like it's a vase. These are like I'm calling them soul vessels. I have a whole big bunch of them that I painted,
Beautiful.
but it's like I can pull these out and paint on these at any time. It doesn't have to be me pulling out a big canvas, and I just kind of like tapped into the energy. And then I was looking at it this morning, and I thought that's so interesting because I brought this corally copper color in, and I
Mm.
thought, oh, that's Mars. And then it's got the gold and the blue, and it was just interesting that I felt like, okay, I thought I was going to do a soul painting, but I feel like the planets were working with me, you know, bringing the energy in. So we can
Mm.
create beauty with whatever it is. We can make beauty out of all kinds of things. And then it can be, a symbolism of stuff. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the game, so to speak. That's what we're here for, you know, is to create our version of beauty, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, the more that we are letting us be the dictators of that and not letting outside perspectives interrupt our creative flow, our actions, right? And that Mars and Cancer, like, don't let other people determine how you create, right? That, and whether or not you share that with them is up to you. Like, not everybody is applying for, an exhibit at a museum. You Your art is for you. I always say this: whatever you create is for you first, right? It's actually for your movement of energy and restoration, which is, in my opinion, like the initial movement
Yeah.
is restoration. And then you get to decide how or when or if I want to share that creation with others, right? So a lot of times we as women, especially, like, for those who identify as such, we have this sense that we have to serve, or we're only good if we're serving, if we're only useful, or that's you being useful is the only way that we can bring value to the world, right? And I'm a proponent of saying, no, your energy is already being valuable to the world. You're here, and therefore your energy is at play. And that's why you're here.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know?
that too. Some days I think it doesn't matter if I like stopped all of this and I just, go hug trees all day and play with the buttercups, because I know just saying yes to embodying here and bringing in that vibration is doing something in the whole collective. I do think that there is an energy to it if how big that wave will be, like what efforts you
Yeah.
make and what the bandwidth of it is.
Well,
Whether,
what do you get to experience,
yeah,
right? Because how you act within that energy is what you get to experience from the energy.
yeah,
So your energy is at play whether you're paying attention or not.
right,
But if you're in participation and awareness of that and purposely moving, then the impact that your energy has, you will be able to perceive, right? Your that manifestation you'll be able to perceive, and the greater the impact will be felt in your world, right?
right.
Yeah. So I think for a lot of us, that can be that is one of the joys of life, is to see how we are impacting the world. Like for me, I'm a 3-5, so that 5 really wants to see how change happens. It wants to see change. It wants to create change, and it wants to make an impact, right? And and so for me, I could, and I have, like, kind of just gone into hermit mode and like not dealt with people for extended periods of time, and I still do.
Yeah, and the
but
3-5 needs to do the experience,
yeah,
though. It's like it learns through the experience. My 6-2
but
can
yeah,
be a hermit forever.
but see, anything's an experience for an introvert, right? Like I can read a book and have an experience. So
Exactly.
And
Right,
so I don't
exactly.
necessarily need people for that outside of the people that are writing the books, right? Like I need
Yeah,
y'all. Don't stop
that's why
writing.
YouTube's good
Um,
for me. I can be a
because I read
guide
a
to
lot of
you.
books.
I can be a guide to humanity and still be a hermit
Yeah.
on YouTube. It's like, okay, this is like working for me.
No,
I
seriously,
can
like
just
the
click it
internet
off and be
age
the
is
hermit
like
the rest of the day and then
my
go
version of
out.
heaven. I created this, y'all. You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Because that is my version. Like, and when I do choose to go out, the reward for that is exponential as well, right? Because I feel like like universe acknowledges my setup and my energy and my feelings, right? And so when I do make that effort to go out and be presenting, and I think of it as performing. So whether I'm speaking my work or I'm singing as I was before, I do think of it as a performance because I do see how the energy wants to act in the space. I do see how people can be influenced in the audience, and how I bring myself, my energy, and my light to that is the whole experience in my mind, right? And so, like, how are you choosing to share that creation is the big question, and all of it's creation. So whether it's
Mhm.
your vision that you're sharing with the world, or whether it's a performance of music, they're all beautiful, including Kimberly's amazing vase. I
I
love it
know. It's
so
like I love
much.
these colors that's in this.
I really love those colors. Those are
Aren't those colors great?
gorgeous.
And it's
Yes.
like this color, I don't know. I think I used gold and some kind of whatever, and it just like blended and turned into its own thing. And I was like, I love this. I was beating myself. I painted a whole big bunch of vases when I was doing some flow art stuff, and then I got off on vases, and then I didn't do anything with them. It was like I had a store that was a plant store, and she was going to take them, and I was just kind of. It was one of my um, kids that grew up in this house, basically my daughter's best friend, and I was like, "Here, just take them to your store. Just make it beautiful." And I don't know.
Mm.
they're still here. So now it's like, where do these want to go out into the world? But that's what they are. They're soul
That's a
vessels.
beautiful question.
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
I'll do a whole class when we can all just sit and paint these. I'll teach people how to make their own. They can go get a 50-cent base at Goodwill and then paint it.
there are so many different ways. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great idea, though.
those are
Yeah.
fun. It's fun to do the pour paint because you do the layers of it and then you just pour it and then it makes its own design and then you get to just sit
Mm.
back and watch it. You don't have to think about it as an artist. So those are when you think some people think, well, I don't draw, I don't do this, but it's like just mix colors together. Just sit and mix colors and see what happens to you. When I
Yeah,
first started painting again, that's what I did. I would squirt the paint on the canvas and then just take my hands and then just like play in the colors. And then those ended up being backgrounds later for other paintings. But it was about
beautiful.
me moving the energy and moving the colors and being in the colors.
Oh, I
It was
love
the
that so
beauty of that.
much. Like playing and experimentation are the point of everything. So the more we're afraid of playing with something, the more we probably should check it out. So one of the things I've noticed with my clients is that most people are really afraid of singing, right? That they can't, they same thing. They think, oh, I can't paint, I can't sing, all the creative works because they are divine. They create this big resistance within us about whether we're going to do them or not. And what I've noticed about the voice is that, like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like you're expecting something that you haven't even played with enough to be able to perceive, right? And so yeah, so a lot of it is just is playing and experimentation. Just make a sound and see how it hacks and acts in and on the body, right?
Mhm.
Instead of making it do something automatically. And I often equate the voice with like how we treat ourselves as women, right? Because without any practice, with no support, with no um, no, but with all the sense of perfection, we decide that we're going to do something and wonder why we have anxiety and are crushed and procrastination sets in and all this kind of stuff. It's like you're just the expectation is ridiculous for the level of experience that we often have. And sometimes an experience means trying and failing or trying and seeing what happens, right? So that's okay too.
I gotta share something with you that I experienced once when I on ayahuasca. Okay, so I had, and when you were talking about that, I thought I did have expectations of that because at the time, that my partner I lived with was a shaman, and he did ayahuasca all the time. Okay, he had went to Peru several times and set through stuff. I never had any desire to do it until I met this ayahuasquera that carried this divine masculine and his wife. They were the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Okay.
Mm.
So nothing. I did a couple of what diatas that you set in and do. Anyway, nothing happened to me. Nothing happened. Okay. And so I decided that I just did so much drugs earlier in life. I was like, it doesn't do anything to me. I can go in and go into a shamanic journey all on my own without the substances. So I think the DMT is already like I already broke something in there and I can tap into that at any time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would go back because I would be pissed because I had expectations of what was supposed to happen and I was supposed to see the keys to the universe, of all creation, and nothing would happen. And I even talked to him about it, and he said, "Well, not everybody has to do plant medicine." So I finally just like surrendered to okay, and it was like I thought this is the last time I'm going to do this. Went to another one, sat there, and his wife was playing these chimes, these shamanic chimes, and she had
Wow.
several of them, and she was walking around doing the chimes. And when you're in those ceremonies, it's so dark, you can't even see your hand in front of your own, face. You can't see anything. It's so dark. And so she was walking around singing and doing the chimes, and all of a sudden I started seeing these little laser lights go out of the chimes and hit people in their chest. And then sacred geometry would explode. Okay. And it was when
Mm.
I finally just surrendered and quit trying to get anything and be somewhere that this happened. And she started singing, and she had the voice of, an angel. She carried that divine energy during the ceremony. It's like she brought in the divine mother, and paisley started coming out of her mouth when she was singing. It was these techno
Cool.
colored paisleys, and I was watching them, and they were like kind of like a tongue, but it was a paisley, and it would go out and it would go whoop, and it would hit somebody, and like the colors would like explode like in the room, and then that may touch the person next to them, and then these color explosions happening. When you were talking the other day on a call about colors and octaves and sounds, and I thought, oh, I got to tell her sometime about seeing the paisleys. So
What?
when
I
you
love
see
it.
like art that's been done on those kinds of things in the psychedelic paisleys, they're there, people. They are in the universe. They are the structure of
They
sound
are.
together. I got to
Well,
see
that's what
that.
I love
I got
about
to see it happen. And then
yeah.
one other time after that,
Hey
I did
Terry.
I did one more with them, and that same thing, nothing happened. And the very end of it, this other person that I didn't know she could sing like she could, he asked if anybody else had that spirit was telling him someone else had a song to offer. And when she sung, same thing. But as soon as she started singing, like the paisley started coming out of her mouth. And so
Oh,
I saw it on two different occasions with two different people singing. But the whole rest of the ceremony, and these ceremonies go on for hours, you all. Nothing happened to me. I just sat there like bored out of my mind, thinking, why am I like nothing's happening? Nothing's happening. I was sitting there doing that the whole time, and then I'd go into meditation and I'd fall asleep, drool on myself, wake myself up. And when I finally just quit trying and was just there, all of a sudden I saw all the sacred geometry of sound and color. And that's
yeah.
what happens. That's what happens when this comes out of us, when these creations come out of us.
Well,
Like
sound,
the
I
colors of
mean,
the
I
tapestry.
love instruments. I really do. I mean, I've learned a lot of them. I love instruments. And there is nothing like the human voice. Nothing. There is nothing. Even if you have the worst voice in the world, I promise you, like universally, energetically, it is magnificent, right? So even if only by yourself, like make sound, make sound. Your body loves it, number one. Your body loves it. I don't care how other people feel about it. Your body loves it. So, like, just let it happen, just let it happen.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the message. Let it happen. We're in gate 25. So be in that innocence, the love, compassion, and be in this experience this week with Venus is going to be in Taurus for, I think we got 3 weeks or something of it. So we've got that, and to be in the luxury and the value of the energy, and allow yourself to just feel that energy. And what is it that you're going to, bloom where you're planted? And what is it that you want to bloom out into the world? Set that reset point for that.
Yeah, and let it be new. Like, so one of the things, about business that I'd like to talk about today is just having a new sense of what you offer, right? Whether it's product or service, it's having a new sense of it. And for some and many, because of what's in play right now and what's coming, there's a lot coming. So because of what's in play and what's coming, it will be different. And allowing ourselves to be in the innovation evolution of our own work is important. Um, for the same reasons we named earlier of like when the new generations come online, they're gonna feel like they have to change everything if it doesn't have the incorporation of the energy as we go forward, right? So when you're looking at your products and services, like how you're seeding them, like just see what wants to be more recognized. Because even if the product or service itself doesn't change, like it may mean that there's a different perspective of focus of the work,
Mhm,
right? And so, or a different something that wants to be brought forward within the work, right?
mhm,
And so I think that, sometimes you feel like, well, I just figured this out. I don't want to change it, right? And it can feel like scary to change, because then you're like, well, I know they like the other thing. I don't know if they'll like it if I bring this forward, right? But it is when those things are calling to us because they're needed. It's not because you just, you just like, tweaking your own
I
butt.
know,
I don't know.
I have that's when my projector self rebels is that energy when people will say to I've had coaches say, "Well, who invited you to create that?" And it's like, the friggin' universe invited me to create it because it gave it to me. It's like if it comes in and you feel it in your heart and you're not out there creating just for the next fad, to be trending or whatever. And it's something that's coming in from your heart and it's going out, then that's your invitation. Your invitation is from the universe. And when you're
Mm.
aligned with your authority and your strategy, then you can sense that. You can sense the invitation from the universe. And that's what's opening you up. I wrote a book this weekend. Totally forgot that I did that. So I think I was, see,
Holy cow.
I thought I was supposed to be writing. I mean, I thought I was supposed to be painting. I'm
See,
just
Neptune
speaking this
energy
because I
was
forgot I
living
did it.
last week, living
I
his
let
best life.
I let go of that forcing that trying to paint, and then I did that vase, just doodling on it. And after that, I used Chat GPT with it. So I had it to write some fables about the planets and their shifts. And then it ended up turning into this like whole book, of this journey. I can see like how I can do the artwork with it in the illustrations.
Wow,
And I
yeah.
got 5 years ago, I did this meditation and it was where are you going to be in 5 years thing, like you were going to your future self. And then you were looking at what it was that you were bringing in. And there was something else at the time I was like in a mastermind that I was like really pushing toward. And when I went to my future self, I saw myself in this auditorium signing books. Okay. And it was children's books. And when the children were getting my autograph and they were telling me, like what this did for them, as they turned to walk off, they turned into adults. So it was like it was their little inner
Oh,
children that were showing up to me, in the vibration was going out.
oh.
Because I even said to the group of people that I was doing this with, because I think I was leading it in different ones, I was forgetting things. And I said, I saw myself writing children's books. I don't even know for sure if I like kids. And then that's
I
my
wanna see
future,
all
and my
them
future
children.
self is doing this. And I realized that I was having so much fun with this book. And like I brought dragons in, and then what happens in the age of Aquarius and how the dragons come back and what their role is. And like, I mean, I
Mm.
turned it in, I was like going down all kinds of things with it. And then I saw like my granddaughter and I, because I may have her this summer, that we can create these books together, like she
Wow.
can do this with me. And I thought, oh my God, I went into that total vision. And that's been about 5 years ago that I saw myself illustrating children's books. And it was like, I
Wow.
wrote a whole book this weekend. I'm like,
See, and that's what
a
I
whole
love
magical
about
book.
it. Like we don't, and I get the response thing and invitation thing with human design, but I do think that we are confused about how that is applied. I'm not a human design expert, so don't come after me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just believe that before you write a letter and waste your time. Um,
Oh, write letters, put
but
comments underneath the things. It makes our things go
but
up.
how
Write all the
how
comments
I
you want to comment
interpret
on.
that is that what wants to be created through you and is wants to be created through you. And then
Right.
again, like how it is shared with others may look different. But it really doesn't, you don't have to wait for permission to create what wants to be created
No.
through you.
That's what being sovereign
Yeah.
is learning not to wait for permission. That's what the
Well,
renegades
and
are.
it's also about respecting your own your own inclinations, your own body, right? And it really is this question of being prepared. Like, how are you preparing? How are you supporting what you are wanting and what it wants to come in? Because if you're just kind of sitting there with the energy for creation that's moving through you, then it's not manifesting into the what can people can ask of you, right? So,
Right.
like, let's say, okay, so Terry was saying this past week, I have painted things outside I normally create, and the response was fantastic. So, if she had never created the things she didn't normally create, then she wouldn't have had a response,
Oh, it's
right?
letting me reply to
Like,
her on there.
um, and she was saying the same thing about her membership, that she meditated, and then the project turned out great because she sat with it, which is what we're talking about
Yeah,
for
and we
this
had a
week,
long
right?
conversation Tuesday night. So it's like
Yeah.
something was activated in her is what I'm feeling. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. But that's the thing, is that if we're constantly waiting on others to recognize where we are at in our creative process, then we are confused and it gets backed up. This is a lot of reasons why we get so much anxiety and overwhelm, is because there's an energetic flow that wants to work through us, but we are questioning it so much that we've gotten out
it's
of
the
the flow. We've gotten
conditioning
out of
and
the
the
rhythm.
it's the conditioning and the enmeshment with others, and it's that energy that and then we start doubting yourself, you
Oh
know?
yeah, I was loving what you were saying earlier about the emotion, like the not being enmeshed in others' emotions, which is huge for empaths. And I think when we first come up, I know when I was a child, I was like, why do people just hurt people? They are so inconsiderate and so unthoughtful and all of this. Like, and that was a major part of my young adulthood, even,
Mhm.
was like, well, I didn't want to create the pain that I saw other people create,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
For others. And and coming into my own at this point in my life, it has been about, well, what is in me to say and honor myself and my emotions, and then how does it want to be heard? Like, how can I honor others' emotions as I am speaking? But that, um not making those two separate things, right? That if I can't honor my own emotions, if I am to honor another, is the lie that we've been told, right?
Yeah, that's when
Um,
we go into being the martyr, because then we start
yes,
sacrificing ourselves for the needs of
yes,
others. And we
yeah.
don't even know that that's their needs. It's like we don't have any
Exactly. We're making
idea.
an assumption based on things that may have nothing to do with us and probably don't. Like, they probably have nothing to do with us. And so it's really important that we aren't qualifying what we are trying to share, because what people hear is the qualification. They don't hear the what was meant to be heard. And so that's where we get into the obfuscation of how people see us. And that's why a lot of us feel misunderstood,
Right,
right? Especially empaths, right? It's like pretty much all of us feel misunderstood in one point or another. And most of that comes from assuming what people want to hear from us, right? And so not making those assumptions, and not assuming somebody's emotions are your problem, and or for you to fix or to baby, right? When you're
that
speaking
goes
to
back
them.
to the it's no mind of mine. I was doing that yesterday with I had last weekend, the weekend before, I'd spent 3 days at my with my parents and my granddaughter, and I had to keep telling myself, "This is no mind of mine. It's no mind of mine." And then when you realize even your projection of yourself is no mind of yours, it's like it's none of my business what my projection is of myself. I don't even
Right.
need
It's
to take that in.
none of my
That's when you
business
realize you
what
are a
they think,
wise woman.
right? And I can't tell you how long I heard that from other people, and just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. Like, how do I not care? So what I would always think was like, how do I not care what people think? But it's not about not caring, because obviously as empaths, that's not what's going to happen. We're going to care. The question is like, how are you perceiving what other people are experiencing, and how do you think that they can know all of you? We are complex human beings, right? We are complex human beings. That's why it's such a blessing and a miracle when we do find the people that understand us. And so the clearer you are with the words that you say, the more the people that can understand you will find you, right?
Right.
Yeah, so Ramen, Rama's Nest by Terry. Always worry that someone won't like this week's project instead of being excited, right? I I feel this one as well because I inherited worry from my mother. That's how I blame it. So but yeah, like it's something that always comes up, and it is, and again, it irks the heck out of me because I go back to like, how is that serving? How is that serving? How um and what could you be doing other than worrying? Like
Yeah.
again, back to kind of this point of efficiency is like, well, will worry fix it? Like, will they like it better if you worry more? Right? Like, and if it won't, then maybe we can occupy our brains with something else,
I
you
was
know?
thinking about that because my mother carries that energy a lot too, and then how that energy's passed on. And um, I don't know if that's from that boomer generation, that the energy that they had to go through and the experience of it, because these new ones coming in are not going to carry that. They're not going to carry it at all. And I think that that might be the shift in humanity's consciousness. You know, even like my daughter's generation, where it was like people called them like the generation of entitlement and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I actually saw that as empowerment, and that this generation of so-called entitlement, it's about damn time that everybody knows they're entitled. You know, it's like
Mhm.
that they're not going to put up with working minimum wage jobs and just to survive. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's a projection on them that they're spoiled, but there's this energy of, yeah, they know that they're entitled, and
Well,
that
knowing their
almost like
own
they had to
minds,
be
I
put
I
in.
find that a lot of that, like, kind of my mom wanted to come out when my niece was born. I was just like, "Who are you talking to? Like, who do you think you're talking to, child?" Right? Like, and it really took, and it was, like, really the early kind of onset of my meditation. It took so much effort to not just react,
Oh
right?
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, some of this stuff that
Yeah.
mom, because it's her mind. Like my granddaughter she plays with action pack figures. She likes those, and she likes cars, and she does all of that. She wears capes, you know. She plays out
Mhm.
all of the roles, and my mother, you know, she told her that's a boy toy. And
Mm.
and I saw it like freeze Lorelai and her, because nobody had ever said that to her, that there was a distinction, you know, that there's a separation in this. And I was like, they're children toys. Toys don't have a gender. They're
Right. I
children
spent
toys.
3 years asking for race cars because people kept looking at me like, "What do you need a race car for?"
I know.
I'm
You
just
know what I got my
I'm
granddaughter
like,
for Christmas?
"I don't want
Hot
another doll.
Wheels.
I've got dolls. I want a race car."
I got her three Hot Wheel tracks, so I could put them together and they could do different stuff. It's like, I was like,
Yeah,
you know what
stuff I
Hot
would have
Wheels
loved.
are?
I
Like,
wanted a remote control
yeah,
car too, yeah.
yeah, she
And,
got
like,
a
it
remote
took
control
I
car.
literally kept asking for it. Or it's like,
Right,
"But, you don't need that.
exactly.
Isn't that a boy's toy?" Same thing, right? And
Yeah,
I was just like, "I don't care. I want it."
I
Like,
know. So
what is
she,
what
so
is I want a remote control
right.
car?
We've
What
not
part of
put
that do
that
you not
we've not put
understand?
that separation in her, you know, and so that, and when
Right.
mom was saying it to her, and I was like, it's children's toys. It's okay. She can pick what she chooses to play with because they don't
It's like, who
have a
cares?
gender
I
to
don't
them.
It's just so silly. Who care? Like, who cares? And at this point, I really don't get it. I don't get why people are so sure that they're going to fix or help a child by not by like making sure they only expose to what they assume that that gender is going to, to like I don't know what they think they're doing for those children. I
I
really
know.
don't.
My dad lets her, like, if she likes to go shopping with my dad, because like she come home with, I think she had camo pants on, a pink tutu, rainbow boots. Dad doesn't stop her. He just lets her pick out whatever she wants to put on and wear. And even when they were going out the door and she had her Spider-Man cape on, and he was like, "Is she going to wear that in the store?" And I said, "Yes, she is." Because when she
Yeah.
goes shopping with Gaga and she wants to dress like a superhero, I don't tell her not to. And she may have bows in her hair while she's got her Spider-Man cape on and her unicorn boots, because there's just like one this time period in your life that you do that and you're not judged. But I can, even with the 5-year-old in the grocery store, when I see people stop, they'll turn and look, and when they do, her little chest goes out. I mean, she's a 5'2" manifesting generator. She knows what she's here for, and her little chest goes out, and she's like this, she's running.
She's just absorbing the
Yeah,
yes, you may
she
look. Go
totally does.
ahead. Go ahead.
She totally reflects shame and blame. It's nowhere does it go
Yeah.
into. She has Aquarian moon, and it's like nowhere does that.
Ooh, nice.
She is a Cancer with a Libra rising and a Aquarian moon. So she's got the harmony, the balance with the nurturing, and she's very empathic. But that Aquarian moon, I can see it in her. She can deflect all of that. She's just like,
I could not. As a child, I would just like shrink.
this is
Would
my
shrink.
chariot. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I see that you notice me.
It's
You
like,
recognize.
thank you for
It's like
recognizing my
namaste. The light in
brilliance.
me recognizes the light in you. I mean, that's really what she does at the grocery store. And so when Dad went, well, okay, and then they came back because she had her Spider-Man mask on and everything. Okay, she had the whole thing
Yeah.
on.
She was like, this is how it goes.
And I said, did she wear her mask in too? And he said, no, that didn't last long in the car. She got hot and couldn't breathe, and she took her Spider-Man, mask off. And he said, but no, she did wear her cape. She was, but see, he let her after I said, I said,
Aw,
yes, she
that's a
does
good
that.
grandpa.
When
Yeah.
when she goes shopping with me, whatever she wants to wear, I let her,
Why not? And I even think of that as adults, honestly, because I have kind of had that conversation of like, how are we being expected to present? And why is it so disruptive to wear, like, even for a 5-year-old, right? Why is it so disruptive to wear what you want to wear, right?
Right.
Uh, like, how is that disruption? It because
She
that and
wants the
that's
people
also
to
like
feel
all
safe.
that
She's telling me
um
I need to wear my superhero cape so that people will feel safe. It's like she knows what she's doing.
aw,
It's like,
she
it's
is the
okay.
sweetest.
The superheroes are here today.
Yes, I will take care of you. Thank you.
It's just like
Don't
she
be
didn't have to do
concerned. I
anything
am
for
here.
them.
I've got my cape on. I will take
It's
care
just
of it.
anchoring it. She's like anchoring the energy so they know that it's there.
I love it so much,
I
so
know.
much.
It's
But
so
yeah, but that's like a real question to ask ourselves. Like, why do we make clothes matter so much? And and it's kind of that conversation of beauty as well. Like, why do we expect other people to have our perception of what's beautiful when we wear what we wear and what's appropriate, right? What's like and some beauty somehow is linked to like what's assigned to
the
our
trending style.
yeah, number one, trends. Like that's a real thing. That's not a thing. Number two, our perceptions, our personalities of ourselves. So again, so because you perceive me a certain way, then I must act a certain way. And this is
Mhm.
a really big thing for fives because we're just like, why are you always projecting your shit on me, right? Like, why can't I just be who I be? you know and so it is that kind of question. It's like, why, just because I look this way doesn't mean you know everything of who I am, you know and I do think that's part of what we've been talking about, of the kind of Aquarian of respecting the individual, the sovereign of the and that authority, because it's like, can we get to know somebody before we assume what they should and shouldn't be and then tell them about themselves? Like,
Yeah.
can we at least ask what their name is and what they would like
Yeah.
to be called? And
Yeah.
like, it's
Definitely
not
going
that
to
much
be
to ask.
a change in consciousness to know it's like embodying the sovereign while being in community and unity with others, because
Mhm.
that's where that's the big lesson for humanity is how
It
it does that
is.
without being in control, to be sovereign and being in harmony, unity, community.
That is it. That is it. And like, and whenever we want to restrict somebody else's sovereignty, right? Whenever we want to say, well, no, that's not the right way to be a human, then we have decided that within ourselves, for
Mhm.
ourselves.
Right.
And so it's a really good time to check in with yourself and say, like, well, who told me? What do I believe about who I get to be that I feel that I have to encroach on how somebody else gets to be, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I got to wrap it up here. I just saw what time
Yeah, I
it was.
don't know. It's getting
I've got
this
another call I've got to
this is
jump
our
on.
expanded view.
It is. I know and here it is 111. It's like when I look down, it's like, ooh, I got to see those numbers like more than once today. It's like
Yeah, I just
111
miss
and
1111s when you're
yeah,
saying that. Yeah.
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 Okay. So
Have a happy spring equinox, folks.
yes, do your resets and howl at the moon or whatever.
Howl at the moon,
Go dance
seed your
naked in the dark
future.
moon. We're in the dark night tonight before the
Mm,
before the new moon. So go dance naked in the dark, in the dark night of the moon.
absolutely. Enjoy yourselves. And we will see you. We will see you. Are we doing next week? Or are we doing
Yeah,
process?
I can do next week.
All
Yeah.
right. So we'll do next week. So we will
Thank
see
you
you
all for hanging
guys
out with
next week.
us. Thank you for being the gift that you are to humanity and embodying those vibrations for all of us. Okay.
Absolutely.
Have a
All
great
right.
week.
Ta
Bye.
ta.